There was a need by NASA in the 1960s to be able to provide communication to new spacecraft that they were sending out into orbit around the Earth, and then eventually to deep space, to places like the Moon and the planets beyond. To do that, you need 3 tracking stations around the world to be able to provide that 1/3 of the sky look at every part of the solar system. So they had a station in the United States, in California. They looked 1/3 of the world either side. One line ran down through Europe, in Spain in particular, and another down the Australian eastern seaboard. And they needed to look for a city big enough to support the station with personnel and services, and not a place so big that it would eventually encroach on the station. So Canberra was chosen, and we came into existence at this site in 1964. Our job every day is to communicate with spacecraft, telling them where to go, what to do, what not to crash into, what information to collect for us and send back home every day. And right at the moment, we actually track 52 individual spacecraft across the solar system, representing 22 different nations around the world. So we don't just handle missions for NASA anymore, we handle missions for the United States, for Russia, for India, Japan, all the European nations, anybody that sends a spacecraft out there. It's our job to act as the telephone exchange for the universe, or air traffic control for space. That's a good way to think about us. When we communicate with spacecraft, we use radio waves. So the same way as a mobile phone uses a radio signal, so you can chat and text to friends, we kind of just chat and text our friends via radio, and that's all these little robots exploring the solar system, visiting planets and moons and asteroids and comets. And we send and receive those radio signals through our big dishes here, which act as giant mouths, shouting out those instructions, and as giant ears, receiving back these tiny whispers from the depths of space. Basically, almost everything any of us have ever seen, heard or learnt about space has been received on Earth through this tracking station and through our sister stations in Spain and California. While Honeysuckle was specifically set up for Apollo, a lot of people tend to think that those first pictures of, say, Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin walking on the moon back in 1969 were through the Parkes radio telescope in New South Wales because of that movie. But actually, it was the dish at Honeysuckle Creek, a little 26-metre antenna, which is the one that stands out the very front of our station here today, and did a great job for over 44 years. We've also supported other missions, first missions to Mars, spacecraft to land on that planet, other missions to visit Venus and Mercury, to study our sun, to go to all the giant planets. All those great history-making moments that we teach our kids today about our exploration of space all happen through here. The big project at the moment is the Mars Science Laboratory, a new rover that's landing on Mars on the 6th of August this year, and of course we'll be operating for 2 years on the surface of Mars. And this new rover, we're going to be handling all the landing communication of that spacecraft. We have been tracking it since the day it launched, right throughout its 450 million kilometre journey to Mars, and we'll handle all of the data coming back throughout its mission through the Deep Space Network. So we're really excited about that mission because it is probably the key mission to find out the answer to the big question, was there ever life on Mars? This place has played a major role in the scientific development for Canberra, for the ACT. This site in Canberra was chosen back in the 1960s to help the economic development of the region. You know, this site has not only played an impact on the economy of the ACT, bringing in money because the station is paid for by NASA, and that money comes in, pays the people that work here, and also buys the equipment that we need, and we pay our electricity bill just like anybody else. But it's also been these incredible scientific achievements, being part of those history-making moments of going to Mars and walking on the surface of the moon, and for our bush capital to actually have been a part of that and be more than just the farming or the politics, to actually be part of the space age. I think that's been the most remarkable thing that this place has contributed to Canberra. I think Canberrans are classic for rarely going out to see what's in their backyard, and this is their backyard. They should come out and see us. Already 70,000 people have come to actually see the tracking station every year. It's always free to come out and see us. And I think for them just to appreciate that we play this vast role tiny territory, stuck in Australia, and you might not even hear about us on the news. But when you do hear about us, the ACT, you hear about the politics and people talking about it happened in Canberra today. This happens in Canberra every day.